Israel-Palestine, a federation of two states. There is one time-tested democratic political peace plan that has ended many wars in history called Federation of States. The USA, Canada, and many other countries ended their own wars with a federation of states. A federal democracy in Israel-Palestine can be achieved by joining together the state borders to form restored Holy Book borders for all citizens of the Holy Land. All federal democracies share maximized international borders, and they share a capital. Choosing a capital for the Federation of Israel-Palestine is easy, because Jerusalem is listed as the capital of the Holy Land in the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran. At least we can agree on something. All sides want all of the Holy Land for their country, and they want Jerusalem as their capital. Only a federation can deliver everything to everyone and end the war with two winners. Jerusalem is shared now and can become the undivided capital of Israel-Palestine for all citizens. This can be achieved by joining the municipality of Arabic East Jerusalem with the municipality of Hebrew West Jerusalem on the federal map to join the undivided capital of the country, Israel-Palestine. Various internal, blue, Hebrew municipalities and various green, Arabic areas throughout the Holy Land can be joined together on the map to form the country's maximized international borders for all citizens. Rather than two states at war, this federal peace plan creates two states that form a country by adopting a federal government and a new constitution. The proposed federal constitution of Israel-Palestine must be based on fairness and equality to inspire peace and end the war. The federal constitution must forever guarantee 50% representation from each state, so no side is ever in power over the other state. No side in power over the other side is a requirement for peace. The federal constitution of fairness must guarantee two speakers, one speaker or chairperson from each state, taking turns taking questions from the politicians and from the public. The proposed federal level of politicians would be appointed by the state's politicians to start, and then democratically elected down the road on the consent of the state governments. The new federal court would maintain a 50% representation of judges from each state. The federal court would be above the state supreme courts, and the higher federal court would settle state disputes and write new federal laws that affect both states. The current state government of Israel would change to be conducted only in Hebrew, and no Arabic would be allowed. The state government of Palestine would be conducted only in Arabic, and no Hebrew would be allowed. The federal government of Palestine Israel would be bilingual and conducted in both of the country's national languages with translators. A Palestinian citizen living within the State of Israel's blue borders would vote only in Palestinian Arabic state elections, and a Hebrew-speaking Israeli citizen living in a state of Palestine, green municipality, would only vote in Israeli elections. Voting in both elections is illegal. A so-called Israeli Arab can choose to remain a citizen of Israel by choosing Hebrew as their official language on the form. This federal peace plan is about respecting and protecting language rights and is not about religion. All citizens of Israel-Palestine can live and work anywhere they choose in the country's international borders. Federations have one currency that can have Arabic on one side and Hebrew on the other side. All federal departments must be headed by co-ministers, one from each state to ensure fairness. They say two heads are better than one. This way, no side ever has more power than the other. All federal departments must be staffed by 50% Israeli and 50% Palestinian employees by law. In this federal peace plan, the number of citizens each state has becomes irrelevant because majority rule is eliminated. This federal plan eliminates Israeli fears of being voted out of existence. In Canada, the Quebec government will exist even if there are more English-speaking citizens in Quebec. Majority rule does not exist with this peace plan, so the number of citizens each state has does not matter. Palestinian refugee areas in Lebanon and Jordan may apply to become Arabic municipalities of the two-state federation, as it does not disturb the 50% state of Israel and 50% State of Palestine constitutional requirement of equal representation from both states at the federal level. Both official languages can be spoken and written anywhere in the Federation. Business owners can make signs and do business in any language they choose, with no restrictions and no bilingual requirements. Federations enjoy free trade between states, and federal laws regulate imports from other countries. No citizens or state government can directly import weapons, and defense becomes a federal power. All federal democracies have one integrated army, and the state government police forces have light arms. Eventually, the Army Defense Department would be headed by two leaders, both committed to peace. To build trust, all members of the state police forces and the federal army must speak in English on the job. Some of the traditional federal powers to be transferred to the federal government are public health, tourism, education, economic development, international trade, infrastructure, business development, and so on. Federal public schools are free and teach Israeli and Palestinian children both national languages. The personal tax rate and business tax rates must always remain 10%, and the Constitution must forbid any tax increases ever. There would also be a 10% value-added tax on all products and a 10% import duty, unless there is a free trade agreement with the importing country. To finance the Federation of Israel Palestine, peace bonds will be offered that guarantee investors 5% annual interest for either a 5-year or 10-year term. To eliminate poverty and fuel the economy, the federal government can guarantee all citizens a minimum income or provide them with a government job rather than a handout. Low taxes and a historic peace agreement would attract many new industries and new investments to the country of Israel-Palestine towards full employment. The proposed federal government will need a parliament building to be built in the national capital of Jerusalem. This federal building of peace respects and unites all three of the world's monotheistic religions. Please let me know if you have any questions, criticisms, or ideas on how to improve the proposed two-state federation of Israel-Palestine.